Hello and welcome to the introduction of my books on the state of South African football. I've written a series of books reflecting on the state of the governance and administration of the sport in the country. Some are purely educational in nature and others are critical of the manner in which the leadership is managing the association. The books are intended to improve the governance and administration of the game, viewed through a critical lens based on my first-hand experience of over 25 years in the sport. So join me in this brief journey through an overview of these books. The first book is titled Our Football is Broken: How to Fix South African Football's Dispute Resolution System. It is the first in a series of books on the state of South African football organization. This book deals with the application of the rules of the sport. There are 14 different areas where football disputes can arise. Each one requires a rule or regulation in order to create certainty about the roles, responsibilities, and expected outcomes of disputes arising from these areas. Each one of the 14 areas has a set of rules that govern its environment, and each may be subjected to vastly different procedures, be they player status matters, players or match agents, disputes among members, disputes involving discriminatory conduct, disputes on the rights of individuals or entities, compliance-related disputes or competitions-related disputes. However, not all of these disputes may be disciplinary in nature, so the focus is very sharply on one of the most contentious of the 14 areas, which is disciplinary disputes, to highlight the web of rules that control everyone's conduct in the sport. The book is therefore a critical assessment of the dispute resolution system. It highlights the applicability of the global sports law, which is called the Lex Sportiva, with a particular emphasis on the Court of Arbitration for Sport, or CAS, and FIFA jurisprudence. It delves into the complex rules and regulations that govern the sport, and it is a helpful guide for administrators who need to familiarize themselves with the intricacies of the disciplinary and appeals procedures of the Football Association, with an emphasis on the rights of individuals and other affiliated structures.
Ethical and enlightened leadership is a common theme that you will find throughout this book. Stephen Covey once famously said, "Until our system accounts for people as well as things, we will operate our organizations in the dark." Of course, some people don't mind the dark, especially those who are into mushroom management, the primary ethic being keep people in the dark, pile lots of manure on them, and when they are fully ripe, cut off their heads and can them. The book challenges administrators and everyone involved in the sport to lead with a thorough understanding of the rules that govern it. It derives from a schizophrenic past in which the rules were not always clear. From Gog's football, which was a mix of rugby and association football, first recorded in Cape Town in 1859, to the rules-based system we know today, the sport would not exist without the agreed rules that guide every second of participation on and off the pitch. The sport has a rich history, and its rules reflect the evolution of the game over time. Consequently, this book is an educational tool for establishing a rules-based culture in football governance and administration.
The next few slides present an overview of the second book in the series, Managing Football Part 1. This is the first of two books on how to run a football association. It is a comprehensive guide for those looking to gain a deeper understanding of the inner workings of a football association. It unpacks the 20 typical broad mandates that face a football association and effectively navigates the reader through an extensive arsenal of tools to enable them to deliver on those mandates and to become proficient governors and administrators. It shows how to govern effectively, covers 12 cross-functional responsibilities that require collaborative execution, and how to administer a football association efficiently. Football administrators are tasked with the responsibility of satisfying a dizzying array of stakeholders and functions, ranging from influential sponsors to supporters and partners such as FIFA, government bodies, association personnel, and the larger community. Additionally, they must comply with the country's legal framework and address pertinent environmental concerns. Administrators are often called upon to devise innovative strategies to navigate this sometimes overwhelming jumble of pressures. These 20 mandates can be overwhelming sometimes, weighing so heavily that it becomes difficult to deliver quality services. Administrators must carefully juggle the demands imposed by these mandates from its constituencies or functions, as none of these can simply be ignored. For example, sponsorship contracts always contain a set of deliverables, some cross-functional, others reserved for a line department, and systems must be created to deliver on these distinct obligations. The book devotes a substantial section to ethical and good governance. 9 good governance models are presented across more than 50 pages to expose administrators to best practice good governance models in sport. The book also introduces the reader to a few schools of African philosophy to create an umbilical link between governance and administration and ethics and morality. This can assist in preventing inconsistent application of the rules and the appearance of pop-up codes of conduct which are driven by the mood of the day and linked to the biases of the person currently in charge. The book is divided into 3 main sections covering 12 global functions performed by a typical football association. Part 1 emphasizes the need for practitioners to share their experiences as a means of retaining the organization's institutional memory. Part 2 traces the evolution of the football rules and why there was a need for a football association in the first place. Part 3 offers an extensive range of tools for football leadership, including the 20 mandates, strategic planning, risk management, transformation, a sensible regulatory framework, ethics, integrity, and setting up a vibrant national development program. It also highlights the importance of financial accountability and expert event organization and delves into the development of a dynamic succession planning system crucial for the long-term viability of the organization. Managing Football Part 2 is the second of 2 books on how to manage a football association, dealing primarily with governance and administration. The book devotes a substantial section to ethical and good governance. 9 good governance models are presented across more than 50 pages to expose administrators to best practice good governance models in sport. Understanding the role of the different bodies of the association, especially its executive committee, is crucial for a good governance system to succeed. So the book also explains these roles in some detail, from highlighting the principles of good governance to choosing the right governance structure, and explaining the role of the executive committee. This section draws attention to how to provide effective oversight and how to avoid the trap of becoming too deeply involved in operational matters. The second major section of this book deals with how to optimize the Secretariat's role in supporting the organization's overall functioning, resulting in a more effective and streamlined system. As the backbone of any organization, the Secretariat plays a vital role in ensuring its success. The Secretariat's role encompasses several important functions, including the development of an organogram, defining roles and responsibilities, the implementation of a development paradigm, creation of a business plan, service to the membership, and constructing a marketing and communication strategy. These functions are crucial for the effective operation and growth of the association. Ultimately, the Secretariat's overarching goal is to serve the underlying organization by providing a supportive and efficient structure that facilitates the achievement of its mission and vision.
The following slides present an overview of the 4th book in the series, Red Card for a Stolen Victory.
This book takes a critical look at how the 2022 elections were conducted and exposes the many tricks used to help those in power to retain their positions by manufacturing electoral consent. The vast majority of the South African public wished for a much-needed change in leadership, but as the book reveals, virtually every step taken in the lead-up to the election had an element of trickery and deception which resulted in a heavy blow for democracy in the association. Instead of becoming more transparent, the association has become a more closeted, virtually privatized organization. The book points out that in order to establish an effective and fair system of governance, it is imperative to focus on 4 key categories: making democracy work, the democratization of world football, recognizing the importance of the rule of law, and implementing a strong regulatory framework. The association can build a foundation that values transparency, equality, and fairness by prioritizing these fundamental aspects of good governance. Various aspects of the role of power in political systems are also examined. It discusses the negative consequences of groupthink, points to the importance of the separation of powers doctrine, addresses how the organization should interact with its members, and emphasizes the role that free and fair elections in sustaining democracy play. It delves further into the topic of elections and provides insights into the electoral framework and the principles governing the electoral process. It also highlights the legislative authority for elections in the association and touches upon the existing contradictions and abuse of office that can affect the nomination timelines and the electoral process.
The 2022 elections were rigged by using multiple tactics, including manipulating the Constitution, blocking access to dispute resolution mechanisms, using disciplinary measures to isolate potential challenges, and deploying electoral hitmen to manufacture consent among the members of the association. The 2022 constitutional revisions were questionable in terms of whether or not they complied with the stated goal of aligning it with the FIFA requirements, while issues were also raised regarding the validity of the governance committee's appointment and clear bias against certain members of the association. Additionally, the elimination of the Dispute Resolution Committee and the principle of procedural fairness were also major concerns. Blocking access to dispute resolution was very effective in eliminating potential challenges, which in itself constituted a denial of justice according to the established global sports law. As for the election itself, the leadership used disciplinary measures as a political tool and employed unprecedented levels of unlawful involvement in the elections by head office staff. Ultimately, poor governance and manipulation of the Constitution produced a questionable outcome. Democracy is a form of governance in which power is derived from the consent of the members through free and fair elections. In a fully functional democracy, members have the right to vote, to express their opinions, and to participate in decision-making processes that affect them without fear of reprisal. The components of democracy include fairness, which ensures equality of opportunity for all members, freedom of speech, which allows members to express their opinions without fear of retribution, equality, which ensures that everyone is treated equally under the rules, freedom of association, which ensures that individuals and members can come together to discuss and advocate for their interests, accountability, which ensures that those in power are held responsible for their actions, transparency, which ensures that the association's actions and decisions are open and accessible to all, and tolerance, which ensures that individuals and members from different backgrounds and beliefs can live and work together without reprisals for doing so. The rule of law ensures that everyone is held to the same standards for their actions, regardless of their position in the association. The Football Association must adopt all these tenets of democracy because it ensures that all stakeholders in the sport have a voice that can be heard. This includes players, coaches, supporters, and officials. Without these democratic structures and practices, decisions will invariably be made to favor certain groups or individuals, leading to inequality and resentment. Furthermore, a democratic system helps to ensure transparency and accountability in decision-making, which enhances trust and the credibility of the association. It helps to attract sponsors, supporters, and other stakeholders to the sport, leading to its continued growth and development. For an election to have any credibility, it must be approached from the bottom up rather than from the top down. Voters must be empowered to elect their leaders rather than the other way around. A well-known adage captures the essence of this principle. Voters must elect their leaders, and leaders must not select their voters. This principle must be upheld in every election to ensure that it is truly representative of the will of the members. The 2022 elections failed this test of credibility. The fifth book in this series is titled More Than a Game, Governance Betrayed. This book, based on my 2020 report to the SAFA NEC, encapsulates 5 major themes. Number 1, it is an expose of governance failures. It unveils the systemic governance issues plaguing South African football, focusing on how democratic principles have been subverted by a culture of patronage, majoritarianism, and unchecked executive power. Number 2, it is a call for structural overhaul. Through detailed analysis and real-world examples, The book advocates for sweeping constitutional reforms to ensure accountability, transparency, and the separation of powers within football governance structures. Number 3, it is a case for independent dispute resolution. Highlighting the SAFA elections as a pivotal case study, the book underscores the urgent need for an independent national sports dispute resolution tribunal to uphold fairness and justice in sports administration. Number 4, it is a journey of self-reflection. This narrative blends personal anecdotes with broader governance challenges, offering a candid and introspective account of how I navigated and helped to enable systemic dysfunction while championing reform. Number 5, it is a blueprint for change. Combining philosophical insights and practical recommendations, the book serves as a roadmap for transforming South African football governance, ensuring its alignment with international standards and the aspirations of a democratic society. Book 6, Golden Verses, Poetry for Mzansi Football. Experience the beauty, passion, and drama of football like never before with Golden Verses, the Poetry of Football. This captivating collection of poems explores the artistry of the game, celebrates its legends, unites fans through shared triumphs and defeats, and reflects on football's power to inspire and transform. From the grassroots to the global stage, this book weaves poetry and football into a lyrical tribute to the world's most beloved sport, offering readers a journey into its soul and spirit. For more detailed information and a sneak preview on each book, please feel free to visit www.safootball.net to read selected excerpts from each book and how to order the books. The books are listed on Amazon, and other distribution methods are also posted on the website. Thank you.